Evolving Waves, where we ride the tides of adversity to reach the shores of success. Today's guest is Alan Thompson, an entrepreneur of entrepreneurs who has had a start and restart multiple businesses all before the age of 30. Join us today as we deep dive into the many lessons he has learned through his time as a business owner. Today's podcast is brought to you by Stingray Branding, a national lead generation focused marketing agency that helps businesses generate an ROI from their marketing efforts, including web design, social media, Google search, email, automations, and more. Learn more about them at stingraybranding.com. Hi, Alan. How are you doing today?
What's up? Feels fun to be on this side.
Yeah.
Get to see this room from a whole different angle.
Yeah. Well, this is our second time doing it from this side.
It's gonna get crazy.
Today we're going to get into your background as being a business owner. So can you give us a background on what led you into being a business owner?
Yes. I have one question to ask first, though.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
Sure.
I had to bring the Taylor Swift. I had to do it.
Right.
I had to. Hey, that was like one of my favorite songs. When I was rebuilding Stingray in 2017. I loved it. Rode around listening to that song. It's a good song.
They're like, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, so we're going to move on.
Okay. What was the question?
What is the background on what led you into being a business owner?
Yeah. What led me to being a business owner? Insanity.
That's what's going on today.
Pretty much, yeah. So I was working I was a server assistant on Kiwa, and had just gotten back from basic training in the military with the Army. And prior to that, I was working on Kiwa Island, and I came back from basic training, went back to that job because I was in the reserves at the time. And my job was like that was 2008, so the recession had just like full force hit while I was gone. Basically, like I left and everything was cool, and I got back and the world had collapsed. I felt like so the pay that I was making was nothing. My pay was cut by more than 50%, and a friend of mine told me that I should throw up an ad and start advertising that I could help with websites. I had been designing them in high school for my dad's company, and kind of goofing off and stuff through classes. And so I decided that I'd do it and put up an ad on Craigslist, and I landed like 30 clients or so the first year, many of which are still with us today. And it sounds really cool, but I actually went back and ran my numbers at one point for how many hours I worked on those projects and how much I charged, and I made basically about $5 an hour. So I could have made more at McDonald's and probably not went into business ownership, but that's what led me into it. And one thing after another just kind of kept growing over the years, and new ideas and new opportunities, and you just keep kind of evolving and expanding as you proceed through the waves of business.
Okay. And so in the beginning, what were some of the struggles that you faced early on in your business endeavors?
Yeah, so early on, I had a lot of struggles, right? I didn't get the chance to intern with anybody. I wasn't an apprentice. I didn't get to learn this industry from anybody. There was nobody teaching me, here's how you should price your products. Here's how you should position yourself in the market. Here's what brand messaging is and branding and all this other stuff, right? I knew how to code websites, and that was it. I knew nothing else about business. My family had been in business for a couple of decades prior to this, but other than customer service and sales to some extent, I really didn't learn anything else about business ownership from them. So I had to overcome a significant lack of knowledge, significant learning curves that I still today am learning from, right? There's still things today that had I been able to go study underneath somebody else, it would have significantly shortcut my time and probably saved me thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars of mistakes that I made over time. And the other thing is I was really young, right? So I was 18, 17 technically whenever I started the company, 18 whenever I started really like actively marketing and trying to grow it. And whenever you're pitching to 40, 30, 50-year olds that have been in business for a long time, and you're bidding against other people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that have had a decade or 2 decades worth of experience in the industry already, it's a little, it's a little competitive to do that. You got to really distinguish yourself from other, from the other people that you're competing against. So, like, I had to wear three-piece suits, right? Or at a minimum, it was a jacket. Yeah, three-piece suit, jacket, and two-piece, I guess, whatever. I wear a jacket like every day, right? Business slacks, dress shirt, dress shoes, full jacket, tie, right? Like I've always had to dress up. So obviously, today I don't have to do all those things as much. I can wear polo and slacks and blend right in and look professional doing it and not have any issues with confidence and such. But back then, I mean, I was broke, had a crappy car. I would park in like the back of parking lots so people couldn't tell. At one point, I didn't even have a car at all. At one point, I was homeless, right? So try going to sales meetings whenever you're homeless and instilling confidence in buyers that they should buy from you. Had to ride a bike in the middle of summer to meetings in a suit. Like lots of challenges for starting out.
So, as you got farther into your business career, what were some of the highs you experienced prior to your first major adversity?
Yeah, so whenever you first start out a business, like everything seems like a high to you. You're super excited. Every win is a big win to you, and like you're kind of like you're doing whatever you can to wheel and deal and pick up clients and pick up opportunities, right? Like every project comes, you're like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll partner with you. Yeah, I'll take you on. So like one of the first, like, I don't know, it was probably my seventh or eighth sale that I got. It was a couple $1,000s for this like 200-page site, which at the time I thought was like gonna be great and all, but it ended up taking me months to get through that project, like 8 months. I think I put in a couple hundred hours into it. Ended up making like, if I had been paid, it would have been like $2 an hour. And in the end, the guy ended up stiffing me. Um, Tried to sue him for it, and I couldn't. Like, he moved like out of country. I couldn't find an address for him to send the like subpoena letter to him and all. So I basically lost like 8 months and a couple hundred hours at the time. So that was my first big lesson, was down payments and contracts.
Yeah.
As time went on, like Phillips Shoes and Daymaker Charters, one of my first ones that I was really excited about. Like Phillips Shoes here in Charleston's a well-known, locally owned shoe store. It's got multiple locations and stuff. So they were really cool to work with, and shortly after launching the business, I actually opened up a networking group. I tried to go find networking groups to join, couldn't find any, so I said, forget it all, I'll just start my own. And did that. And as I did, that ended up growing simultaneously with my web design company over the years. And we ended up getting up to like 220 or 30 members, I think, in 3 different cities. It was like 15 or 16 groups. We were in 4 cities, 3 states. So that's pretty cool. And definitely lots of highs through the times there, from like 2008 to I guess all the way up to probably COVID-ish time frames or so were pretty exciting. I had different things, my hands in different arenas and working on different businesses. So if one wasn't doing so well, the other one was exciting. And just kind of rotated around which one was the exciting one at the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's get into like What was your first major adversity starting out?
Yeah, well, so first, actually, I think would be that story I just told with the contract issue,
Mm-hmm.
and not getting paid for 8 months of work. That was a big lesson learned. And then after that, I ended up bringing on a couple of partners. One, like I couldn't do graphics. I can't draw stick figures. Terrible at that. So brought on a partner that did that, and her husband wrote copy. No, vice versa. She wrote, he did graphics. Um, and worked together for a couple of years. We're able to help clients with trying to like piece together. It was my first time ever like leading a team, and trying to like manage through projects, right? And I did most of the sales. They were within, I think, like their 30s at the time, a little more experienced, obviously, been in the business for a while. And after, I don't know, a year or two, maybe 2 years or so, they were like, yeah, we're out of here, and dissolved the partnership. And I basically had like lost the brand assets that I had built up, had to restart because the brand got absolved. And so I had to restart my marketing and branding process all over again, which of course I was in web design, I wasn't in marketing. Right. And that's, most people, I think, take this industry and they group all the services together and think that if you're a web designer or if you're a social media person or if you're an app developer, well, you just know all the aspects of marketing and you can just like, you should be successful at all of it. And that's like super far from reality. Right. And so as time progressed, I had to evolve the agency. So I got through that major adversity. Um, Built the company up again. Got a pretty good big book of business. Had brought another partner on, and got, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years into it or so, or like 2014 ish. Um, and got invested with Legal Shield, which is legal insurance, is like a side thing to bring in some extra cash from the networking groups I was running and stuff. And just kind of got turned out, like burnt out on the clients and whatnot. Like I was super tired of like, clients can be difficult, right? You're in the people business, and if you're in marketing, and if you're a business owner, so you got to manage employees or partners, you got to manage vendors, you got to do the networking, the sales, the marketing, right? And just working your butt off all the time. And got burnt out at one point and saw a potential path to go make some more money with Legal Shield. So I sold off my whole book of business, my whole, like everything except for basically a handful of clients that I had for years, and sold that to the guy that I was working with, as like a partner. And whenever I got a couple years into things, into doing Legal Shield and stuff, and then like realized I was basically just like a legal insurance salesperson, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me either. I'm not good with the whole 50 to 100 cold calls a day, and you need one yes to make a difference and all that stuff. So uh, gave up on that. Decided to relaunch the company again for like the third time now. Found a partner that did graphics. She was awesome. Um, we branded the company under a different name. Got started. Went out. We were networking. I was working. So like this whole time up to now, I had been working a side job as well, right? Like there's only a couple periods through the first like 6 or 7 years that I actually worked the business full time. Almost always had some type of other income, whether I was active duty army or was working out in Kiowa, working at the sheriff's office. Like it's always something else as the primary source of income. So we went into this, and I actually like basically worked for free for the first couple of years. I would wait tables at night and work bar, like weddings and stuff on the weekends, and would run Stingray during the day while also going to college. And my partner got paid, like so all of her hours were paid. She actually did the production. Basically, my focus was sales and like running operations. So basically, I worked for free all day and then went and made my money to pay my bills at night and on the weekends, and did that for a couple of years. And through that time period, my ex-wife had a ton of medical issues and other stuff going on, which we covered in the first episode. So if you haven't heard about that insanity, you should go listen to all that adversity, because simultaneous while I'm trying to do all this stuff with the business, I was going through all the craziness, basically starting in 2016 with her moving forward. So uh, we built the business up for about 2.5, 3 years. Um, During that time period, had to rebrand from a previous company name to what we are today, which is Stingray Branding. My partner didn't. I'll just say we didn't do a trademark search whenever we created the new company name that we were going to operate under, and come to find out that they were the largest marketing agency in the country for law firms. Mm-hmm. So we got a cease and desist letter with like 50 names at the top of it, and a notice of you have 30 days to turn over all of your assets to us and rebrand your company, or we are going to sue you in court. And I was like, well, that's pretty self-explanatory. Don't think I need much fighting to do with this one. So we had 30 days to rebrand the entire company and turn over all of our assets, our domain name and our social media pages and everything we spent 3 years, or like, I guess at this point about 2 years building. We basically just had to hand over to this company in California and lose it all and restart all over again. So we restarted all over again. And 18 months later, I have to deploy. So 2017. And we go to, I'm like prepping to deploy, and I'm like a month and a half out from deployment. And my partner says, hey, I'm kind of tired of owning a business. I'm kind of tired of being a business owner and having to do all this stuff. I want out. You can pay me as an employee at like 50% of what we were charging our clients, right? So you also have operations costs on top of that. So basically like almost no profit margin. You can pay me as that, and I'm going to peace out. And then like a month later, she changed from that and totally just dropped out. So going into a deployment, like literally I think it was like the week before, a couple weeks into the deployment, I lost the person that I've been building the business with for 3 years. My ex-wife at the time couldn't drive anywhere because of seizures and multiple medical issues she was having. She had to be like driven everywhere. Had the nightmare with her, and basically my ex-partner hired her best friend to do our marketing. So whenever my ex-partner left, so did the person that was running all my marketing for all my marketing clients. So I find myself essentially in a deployment a couple weeks in with no staff, nobody training me with clients, no presence in Charleston, because they were both networking and going out and helping like promote the company and stuff. Basically completely gone. And at that time, we hadn't really dove into the SEO and PPC market and all that stuff. We were really just doing social and graphics and web. And so we had no marketing either, no SEO ranking. And we were basically like, we couldn't be found anywhere. So those are the adversities over the first like 10 years or so of business, right? So that whole stat of like 97% of businesses fail in the first 10 years, that's why. Like I should have failed, and I should have quit probably 4 times over the first 10 years.
So you come back from deployment and you relaunch the company. What were some of the things you implemented from what you had learned over that last year?
Yeah. So the deployment for me was a 6-month insanity blitz of work. So I was typically like posted in a place that I was able to kind of get some work done on my iPad and whatnot. I was usually like an Overwatch kind of deal and whatnot. So I was able to keep open my emails and things of that nature from like my phone and stuff through the shift. And then I would get off my 12-hour shift and I would go work another like 6 to 8 hours in my bed in my dorm room. And my off day was like an 18-hour work day on my computer the whole time. I like walk over to the local coffee place that we had on base and just sit there and work all 18 hours. And what I learned going through that deployment that got implemented was learning how to market. I had to figure out SEO because we had no leads coming in at all because networking had stopped, and that was our only source of lead generation. So I had to learn how to do SEO so we could get on page one of Google and bring in new clientele. I had to learn how to run Google Ads so that I could start generating leads from people searching to help augment and enhance the SEO presence. I rebuilt my entire website to highlight new packages, new offerings, and everything else. So like I literally rebuilt the whole company on the deployment. I had to hire remotely. I was doing video interviews and stuff at night through Zoom and over crappy like internet signal. It was really my first time that I had been kind of thrust into. At this point, like the company wasn't going into the deployment. I think we were like 100,000 or so a year, maybe 150 a year in revenue. So I had clients that needed work. I had clients that had to do also, right? So I had to jump in and do all the social media posts to the clients, all the emails, all the web design, all the graphic design. I was like outsourcing stuff through Fiverr and emailing people trying to get graphics done and trying to train people remotely. And through all this, Google Drive crashed on me, like deleted. So I had to rebuild my whole server system as well, which ran up all my data. I was burning through like $50 like every 3 days worth of data, trying to upload and download files and stuff. And I launched a project management system, set up a system that would allow people to be able to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Not so much how, because I still have to teach a lot, but at least know when to do and what to do without me having to tell them that stuff. Prior to this point, we had used like Microsoft OneNote as our project management and like organization filing system. So I literally built a whole project management system to organize the company. So this is my first like really big punch in the face to learn that number one, your business has to be able to operate without you there. Number two, you have to have systems and processes in place. And at the time, it was just me. So the system was like, here's a checklist of things to do, but not really the how to do it. And then the next thing is like your marketing. Like you cannot be the marketing for the company. That is a terrible, terrible plan that is guaranteed at some point to fail.
Mm-hmm. So you come back from deployment, and so what's next?
Yeah, so through deployment, I was like trying to do sales and like working my butt off, getting all this stuff in place, right? So about the last 45 days or so of the deployment, it all starts to pay off. I started getting emails from people that are inquiring. I start getting tagged in like on Facebook. I start getting leads from the Google Ads. Like every day I was getting a lead. I was doing calls and working them as much as I could. And I got an email, I don't know, like 2 days or so, maybe before I was supposed to leave deployment and come home, from Fender Mender, who was the largest auto body locally owned franchise in Charleston. They have, I think, like 9 locations. So they're like, hey, we want to meet. We love to, we're looking for your help. Like, we need a new website. We need to organize all of our shops, consolidate all of our stuff into one brand. Like, everybody has their own website, their own email, their own assets. We want everything in one place. We need SEO. We need social media. We need ads. Like, we need one company to take on all this stuff. And I was like, sweet. So literally, I got off the plane. I think it was like a Monday, Tuesday, right? And I was on the other side of the world for the last 6 months. So I was well adjusted to their time zone. Mm-hmm. I was in the office with the Fender Mender CEO the next morning at 8 a.m. sold that project. That was like a $10,000 or $15,000 a month gig that we had, and never looked back. Just hit the ground running, came back and started utilizing the process we had. We were number one on Google for a long time. We had an office right in the middle of Charleston, which of course your SEO ranking is so much impacted by your geolocation to the search. So we had an office right in the middle of Charleston. So we showed up first on Google Maps. We showed up first for voice searches, for SEO. We were running ads. We were running events. I mean, we were just pounding and just saw some astronomical growth. Um, Basically, doubling our revenue for the next 3 years.
Okay. And then I'm assuming for the next 3 years was due to COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so COVID hits. And so how did you navigate through COVID?
Yeah, COVID was wild. We had a 90-day period basically, or we got nothing. COVID, like everybody's kind of like ignoring it to somewhat extent. Like you heard about it on TV a little bit, whatnot, and then all of a sudden, like, yeah, we're shutting down, and we're all kind of like, what? What do you mean? And I'm wrong. It wasn't. It was 60 days. 60 days. We go without any revenue from anyone other than our recurring monthly marketing clients. No new websites launch, no new website sales, no hardly any leads. We got nothing. And of our monthly marketing, we had like Fendermender didn't pay us for 2 or 3 months. Like our number one client, our top client, we got nothing. Still did all the marketing and all that stuff, but we, I think just like everybody else, you get through it. I mean, I had to have a lot of hard conversations with my staff through that. We couldn't make payroll for a while. I converted them over to, I don't know, I think a 1099 position for a while, and so we could say they were laid off, and so they could go collect the unemployment from the state, and then like we had to get the PPP loan to help and utilize that properly, which thankfully we got comped, but like that helped us fund a couple of months of payroll. And right before all this had happened, right, because COVID I think was 2020, right?
Yeah, it was March of 2020.
So November of 2019, I made the biggest investment I'd ever made in my company, and I bought another company. I bought a mobile app and web design company for $160,000, and that had a 4-year monthly payment plan attached to it. That was more than what their revenue was supposed to be able to cover it, but then COVID happened. So everything got like just screwed through that whole process. And yeah, I mean, we were lucky enough that at the end of reflecting back on it, the first like 90 to 120 days were in some of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. There's nothing worse than having to look at an employee and tell them, hey, thanks for working, but I don't have the money to pay you. That is by far like the worst thing. And it's not something like you can see in a forecast coming, because it happened instantaneously, right? It was like COVID shutdown, and the money that we would have brought in that week to fund our payroll and the next week to fund our payroll just never came in. But we couldn't have known that, because we didn't know it wasn't coming in until they stopped payment.
Yeah. No, like I remember one day I had a job, and then the next day I was being laid off from my job.
Yeah,
like it happened so quickly.
And as a small business owner, your staff is everything. They make or break your whole company.
Yeah.
If they're on point and they're doing, if you have great people, your business will grow, your customers will be happy, and it'll be a success. And if you don't, or they're mad, you could throw your business away, because it'll go out the window in a heartbeat. And that is like, as a business owner, it is by far the worst conversation you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And I did everything in my power to help navigate through that, to try to make it as beneficial for them as I could, give them access to as many of the benefits by labeling things certain ways and maneuvering the different things that the state was doing and whatnot. And we managed, after we get through the first couple months, things start to flow again. Right, South Carolina was one of the first to kind of open back up. Business starts flowing. Some of our clients started seeing the opportunity, like, hey, everybody's paused. We want to double our ad budget. We want to dive all in right now while everybody's sitting around not doing anything. Let's go all in. So we started seeing a lot of flow back, and at the end of it, we ended up having our revenue stayed stagnant at least. We kind of plateaued through that. I went through another major adversity through this time. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but a massive PR blunder that happened, and um, I was thankful for the relationships that I had built with my clients to that point because we didn't lose any. Um, we didn't gain any new clients for about 6 months because of it, but we didn't lose any, so we were able to hold our revenue steady through it. And so I think the big thing that I learned through COVID and that I learned through the issues that came around during that time period was transparency. Like, just, people are people, right? Whether you're the business owner, you're the employee, it's still people that are running the business, and it's still people that are working the business. So if you're willing to be transparent and honest and um, have an open mind and open heart towards trying to do the best you can for your employees, then I think that they'll know that, and that they'll work with you and view it truly as that team that everybody talks about. And I think that if you're a jerk, right, and you don't treat your staff well, then whenever you go through hard times, you'll know it because they won't be there.
Right. So now, 4 years post-pandemic, how are things going now?
Things are going great now. The last couple of years, I had a lot of personal stuff going on that I covered in our first episode that really, really held the business back. I think it held our revenue even. We weren't really able to grow. It's hard to focus on growing a business whenever your life is chaos and complete turmoil. But because business is all in, right? There's no half-assing business. Like, you're gonna jump in and give it everything you got. Be willing to put in the hours at night. Be willing to put in the hours on the weekend and push, or you're gonna get blown past by your competitors. And those that are willing to put in that effort. So once I've removed a lot of the chaos and the insanity that was happening in my life, I've been able to spend a lot more time working on processes. Right, that's one of the things that I definitely didn't get until like a year and a half ago. I started really kind of seeing the difference and how much documentation and processes make. Employing those, we've seen our interns be able to get onboarded faster, be brought up to speed quicker, people stepping into new roles, and even internal collaboration within the team. We've deployed AI to help with our documentation systems, and it has helped tremendously with being able to just create quick how-to guides and hey, I need you to do this. Here's how you do it, right? So, like, we could take somebody that has no web design experience at all, and through AI, within a few minutes, create a workflow document that shows them exactly what we need them to do, and just send them that, and they can jump into a project and help with no background in web design. So, deploying those, and then we also launched into 10x, which you don't know what you don't know is another big lesson that I learned over the last year or so. I've been in business 16 years as of last year, and really thought that I knew everything. Not really. I knew I didn't know a lot of stuff, but you don't know what you don't know. And like it's hard to kind of grasp that until you have an awakening about it, right? Like, I knew there was so much more that I needed to learn, but what? Right? Like, how do you set this number or this goal or this metric? And I went to 10x and saw the information that they had and started utilizing it and started following things that Brendan Dawson was talking about and Grant Cardone taught and Tony Robbins and like started employing their methods, and through that we've seen a pretty big shift. And now obviously we're teaching it, right? So we're repurposing the Grant Cardone content after going through his coaching program, and getting to see that now impact our clients' businesses. And so we're really excited about the future. We've got a couple of workshops coming up. We're running the North Charleston Chamber, um, and giving, along with the other volunteers that are doing that, and seeing great growth there. So really excited about this year and future, and we're actually going to be expanding into some new markets here in about 6 to 12 months.
Nice. So, as we wrap up today's episode, remember that in the face of adversity, there is always the potential for growth, resilience, and success. Join us every Monday as we continue to explore inspiring stories of overcoming challenges to help you thrive in your journey of life. Thank you, Alan.
Thanks.